second master video. Let's go. So these are the 5 questions I've picked out. They're just completely random ones at the minute until I get some kind of analysis done. It's just taking me a little bit of time. So 5 random questions. I'll let you have a go. I'd suggest you pause the video if you want to have a go, because I'm about to reveal the answers. And I will be talking through how you get the answers to each one. And remember that for smaller screens, you can pinch on the screen to zoom in if you need to. Okay, so I'm about to reveal the answers. If you don't want to see them, pause the video. On the first question, part A, you should have equation. Part B is expression. Part C is identity. And I'll go through all of these just after I've read the answers. Question 2 is x equals 300. Question 3 is 6x open bracket x minus 3. Question 4, the lower bound is 4.25, the upper bound is 4.35. For question 5, the final answer is 84,100. So I'm going to dig into why all of these are the correct answers now. So I might run through each of these terms and explain exactly what they mean. So an identity is true for any value. If I was to pick like 1 and 2 for x and y, remember brackets are multiplied together. So 1 add 2 makes 3. And if I had 1 take away 2, that's minus 1. So 3 times minus 1 makes minus 3. Checking it on this side, if I had 1 in here, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 makes 4. So 1 take away 4 again gives me minus 3. So I've got minus 3 there, minus 3 there. I could pick another 2 values and I should get the exact same thing on that side. So this is an identity because whatever value I pick for x and y, we're going to get the same thing on both sides of the equation. Next one is an expression. So it should be said that an expression has no equals sign like this, and it's actually a collection of terms. So a term is part of a calculation. That's a term, 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 that's a term. So a term is any part of a calculation basically that's separated by an operator like an add or a subtract or a bracket or an equals. So each one of those things is a term. An expression is a collection of terms with no equals sign, hence why B is an expression. A formula is when we've got a letter equals a bunch of other things. So say, for example, if this first one was like x equals p plus 9y, something like that, that would be a formula for x because it basically says x equals. If it was x equals, y equals, a equals, that would make it a formula for x, y, a, whatever one it was. So I've already said what a term is. That's part of a calculation. And the final one is an equation. So an equation obviously has an equal sign, but the key thing is an equation is only true for one value, whereas an identity can be any. So in this one, it has to be 6 because 6 add 1 makes 7, or technically you should do 7 take away 1 makes 6. But either way, this is only true when x equals 6, so therefore it's an equation because it's only true for one value. So now that I've explained what each of those means, we can see that A is an equation because it's got an equal sign and it's only true for one value. B is an expression because it's got no equal sign and it's a collection of terms. And C is an identity because whatever value you choose for x and y, you'll always get the same thing on both sides. Question 2, solving an equation. It's a 2-step equation. We need to work backwards. So if I would always think about what we've done to x, you can use a function machine if you want to. Starting with x, it's been divided by 5 and then we've taken away 10. So working backwards, we need to get rid of this take away 10 first. The opposite of taking away 10 is adding 10. Now I'm going to use a method which is quite specific to my academy. So we put a line down the side, all our working out goes down one side and the answer goes on the other. It just keeps it nice and tidy. So I need to add 10 to this side and also add 10 to this side. If I add 10 to this bit, it's going to get rid of this take away 10. So we're just left with this x over 5. And adding 10 to this bit, we're going to get 60. So we've got x over 5 equals 60. Now I need to get rid of this divide by 5. We're trying to get x on its own. So to get rid of this divide by 5, we need to times by 5 to both sides of the equation. Times it by 5 on the left, that is just going to get rid of this divide by 5. So we've got x equals. Now to do 60 times 5, I would do 6 times 5 and then times it by 10. So 6 times 5 makes 30. Times it by 10 again, we get 300. Hence why the answer is 300. That's a 2-mark question. So you get 1 mark if you've got x divided by 5 equals 60. And 2 marks if you get x equals 300, the full correct final answer. On question 3, it says factorize. Sometimes these questions say fully factorize. I would always fully factorize just to be safe. So we need to look for the highest common factor of these terms. I can see that both of these terms are in the 6 times table. Really, we need to find the highest common factor. So they are also both in the 2s, they're both in the 3s, they're both in the 6s. If you're really not sure, find the factors of 6, find the factors of 18, and look for the biggest one in both. So I can see the biggest factor that fits into both of these, the highest common factor is 6. So I can take a 6 out of both terms. Also, I have an x in this term and an x in this term, so I can take an x out of both of those. Hence why I'm taking 6 out. So 6x squared divided by 6x is just x. You might know x times x makes x squared. And then on this one, doing 18x divided by 6x, well, 18 divided by 6 is just 3, and x divided by x is 1. So we've got 3 times 1, that just makes 3. For a question that's a factorized question, you can always expand your answer or multiply out and check if you've got the right thing. So 6x times x makes 6x squared, and 6x times 3 makes 18x. So that is the correct answer. Notice it's a 2-mark question, so you'd get 1 mark for taking out a common factor in terms of numbers, or the highest common factor, it depends how nasty they're being, and a 2nd mark for taking an x out of both. And this is how you get a full 2 marks, getting the full correct answer. For this error interval question, I'll give it a read. It says the height h of a bridge is 4.3 meters, correct to 1 decimal place. Complete the error interval for the height h. So we need to think of all of the numbers that round to 4.3 to 1 decimal place. The smallest number that rounds to 4.3 is 4.25 because the 5 rounds up, making it 4.3. So that's our lower bound. It has to be bigger than or equal to 4.25. And for the upper bound, we need to choose a number that is just slightly too big. Now, obviously the 5 would round up, giving us 4.4. So this number is slightly too big. We need any number that is smaller than this, hence why it says h has to be less than 4.35. So the lower bound is 4.25, upper bound 4.35. That's an error intervals question. Again, please ask me if you want any kind of help on that sort of thing or want it put in next time, and I'll include it. Question 5 then, I think this is a nice question. It says to write 8.41 times 10 to the 4 as an ordinary number. So basically we need to take 8.41 and times it by 10 4 times. If we start with 8.41, every time I'm going to times everything by 10, I'll shift it 1 place to the left. Like you probably know, 8 times 10 makes 80, and 0.4 times 10 makes 4. So we're going to shift everything 1 place to the left when we times by 10 to get 84.1. So I've done it 1 time. We need to times by 10 again. We get 841, times by 10 again, 8,410, and we've got to do it 1 more time because we had to times by 10 4 times. So we've done it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That means the final answer is 84,100. Nice, easy 1-mark question. So that's the end of this video. If you want anything included in future videos, please let me know. Feedback's welcome like always, just please keep it constructive and positive, and hopefully I'll see you again for another video. Thank you for watching.